Business Advisory Implementation Development Service. The BAIDS program is a major step forward.
A game changer for the Black business community.
Designed specifically for Black entrepreneurs, by Black entrepreneurs.
BAIDS provides expert help to Black businesses.
It addresses the most important barriers to Black success.
Entrepreneurs need 4 things to be successful: access to capital, to network, mentors and sponsors, access to processes.
Une façon de travailler avec les entrepreneurs pour vraiment les amener à optimiser et maximiser leur projet entrepreneurial.
We're going to sit with you and we're going to wrap you around the best experts we have.
CashPro will help Black business owners get access to more payroll resources.
Anybody that needs to get more funds to amplify their business, ACBNs, we do grant writing sessions.
The support, it's tremendous.
I have a lot to learn and I feel as though I'm in good hands.
I'm really looking forward to all that we're going to be able to accomplish together.
Please check out bbpa.org/BAIDS.
Hello, everyone. I am Victoria Allen. I'm your host for today. You're more than welcome to turn your camera on. It's good to see some faces from last time. I remember some of you from last time, but you probably haven't seen me. I've been in the background, but I'll be hosting. And if you have any question, please write them in the Q&A in the chat box, and we'll get those at the end of the presentation. So we have a wonderful speaker today who's going to give us a lot of amazing information about BAIDS and take us through the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and get started since we just had this hour. We have Mr. Michael Pinnock. So Mr. Michael Pinnock is a fellow chartered professional accountant, currently the principal of his firm with license to practice public accounting in Canada, USA, and Jamaica. Michael has distinguished himself as an astute accountant, providing assurance and consultancy services to organizations and businesses, both local and international. He has built solid, consistent relationships with his clients and offers timely, valuable, and practical solutions to their businesses. So I would like to introduce and bring up Mr. Michael Pinnock.
Thank you very much, Victoria. So it's nice to hear that resume. I forget that you're talking about me, but it's all good. I'd like to say welcome to the 6 to 3 persons who are on the chat today. I'd just like to remind folks that today is not a lecture or a seminar. It's not a narrative. Today is when we start, make that first step in making a difference in our Black community in terms of providing the business advisory, its implementation, and the development services. So today is not, I'm not going to give you a lecture. You're going to be part of the group. What we're seeking to do today is to have an orientation with those folks who prepare to make themselves available as subject experts and content experts to our community. So it's going to be interactive. Myself and the president is going to talk for probably half an hour, and then the next hour, because I think we go until 1:30. Not at 1. I think we're actually going until 1:30. If needs be, if folks have got everything they need, we will end a little early. But we thought today we should afford folks the opportunity to ask all the questions they have, because as I say, this is not a talking session. This is an action session. I just thought what I'll do is to remind individuals here what the Business Advisory Implementation Development Services is. We call it BAIDS for short. But it's a program that is fundamentally designed to provide resources in the Black community. We'll meet the businesses where they're at, whether they're a sole practitioner, and I notice the word they're using now is solo entrepreneurs. I suppose that's probably the latest buzzword, people in the gig economy, whether you're a partnership or you're incorporated, whether you have an idea to start a business, you have an existing business and you'd like to sustain that business or to grow that business, or to enhance, to scale up that business. Or whether you are a mature business, but you still believe you need some help here and there in terms of expertise. So the program is designed to do that. The BBP will bring you, the business owners, clients, together with the program providers, which is you folks sitting here, the service providers, and you guys will deliver the service to these folks. Again, as a reminder, you can see if you keep your eyes on the overhead, all the stuff that we do, we call it full business management services. We're trying to come up with some acronym that we can all use and understand from the get-go. So we have what is called the full business management services, which is anything and everything that is required to work with these business applicants. Just to mention a few, we have business planning and budgeting, we have accounting and bookkeeping, we have auditing, business registration, taxation, GST filing, annual business returns filing, preparing people for loan application, the marketing, the advertising, including digital commerce and website development, human resources management, training and staffing, IT development implementation, actual management, because sometimes we forget that people do need some sort of resource training or implementation and actual management and operations management. And we will do referrals, and we have the general advisor, anything that we have not done here. So the 71 persons that are here today, one would hope fits into one of those categories that we mentioned, or all the categories that we mentioned. Okay, so that is what the BAIDS is about. We will also conceptually ensure that we don't just go and work with the folks and just leave them on their own. We're going to try to give them what we call a wraparound service for at least 3 years. So I want to transition into what is the BAIDS process, the mechanics of the process. It starts with the application, and the president will allude a little more to the website that we have and the interface portal that we have. So business owners or businesses go on the BBPA website and they apply. They fill out 52 questions, including what resources they think they need. That is where the process starts. The next stage, and right now as we speak, we have got over 70, I think at last count I saw was 72 businesses that are waiting for support. The next stage is these applicants, these applications are assessed, and we have got professional people again that we call assessors, and some of the service providers are doubling up as assessors because the same skill set you need to deliver the services has to be able to assess the applicant for the service. So the second stage is an assessment is done. And at the end of that assessment, there is a recommendation made from the assessors as to what are the services we should provide to the applicants. Now, this assessment is not done in isolation. It will be done in collaboration and in concert with the business people. So assessors will look at your application, they'll summarize the application, they will call you to clarify gaps they may see or to make recommendation as to a different part to take, etc., etc. For example, you may apply that you want to bring your books and records up to date, and then you want to go digitize so you can start to sell via the internet. But through the assessment, it may be recommended that you not only bring the books and records up to date, but you may want to do a business plan as well. And from that, the business plan, you will then determine that you need to digitize your business. At the end of that assessment, we in the BBP will then seek from the pool of persons who are here today who would likely provide a specific service. So if they want accounting, we'll talk to accountants. If they want business planning, we could talk to people who do general management, or even accountants that do it, wherever the resources are. And if they want to do digitization, we talk to web designers and graphic artists and folks like that. Then there is what is called it's a service provider agreement. It's like a contract, but we're not going to use the word contract, but it's an agreement. It's a contract. It's a binding agreement between the BBPA, the service providers, and the clients as to what service will be delivered, what time they will deliver it in, and what are the measures of success. In terms of the fees, the BBPA will negotiate only with the service providers, and we'll be working at market fees. So all you folks to know now, we are not expecting, because it's a Black program we're running or it's through a non-profit organization, people are expected to necessarily dumb down what the fees on the market is. It is always encouraged that if you can give us a discount here and there, that would be welcome. But if to do a service is $170 an hour to do the service on the market, that is the same level that we'll be coming in at. And we'll negotiate specifically with the service providers, and we in the BBP will pay the service providers. The service providers will provide the services to the clients, and we'll have on board a project manager who will be working alongside the team to monitor and to assess the progress, the success. So part of the agreement is an agreed timeline, given what you have to do, and then that timeline will be managed and monitored by the project manager. So that's the mechanics, and there's a sample of what the service agreement look like. We call it a professional service agreement right now, but it's the basic stuff, you know, the what, where, when, why, how, and the cost. And there would be other aspects to it, and the president will, when we talk about the branding, the president spent a little more time talking about that. There are some other elements that I could speak about now, but we'll leave them for later, like how we in the BBP plan to sustain the program. The program will be sustained in 3 ways. Those folks that we provide assistance to, and they're now successful and generating profits in their business, we would encourage them to be benefactors. And so they'll provide some funding to us so we can get back that money in sort of circular mode. We will also go back to some corporate folks who have provided assistance as we speak, and other individuals. And then we'll always look to what's in the government coffers through the feds or the province or the municipalities. So those are the 3 ways that we plan to sustain the program. And as we speak right now, we are waiting on some announcement from the federal government on some senior funding to assist with the program. So I'd like to pause here, and I don't know if the president will going to transition or you're going to have a question and answer, but I'd like to pause here, and after the president presentation, or we can determine whether I want to take questions at this stage or what. Over to you, Victoria.
Thank you. We're going to go forward with Ms. Spencer. There was one question that was directed at what was presented. And so there was a question about the milestones on just the approximate time frame with the milestones. So it's
Yeah,
on
and
this
also
slide
just
here.
before you answer, Michael, I would like to encourage everyone who has questions around the processes. How do I become a service provider? What are the requirements? If you want to talk about the service agreements, the memorandum of understanding, please ask those questions here. This is, we've allocated this first half hour for all the processes to be discussed and questions answered around the processes. Thank you.
Okay, so in fact, we're going to take questions on the mechanics. As I mentioned earlier, this is not, for the want of a better word, this is not a talk shop. This is not a lecture process. This is the real hands-on stuff we're trying to do here. And as we call it, it's an orientation. It's to bring you to understand us and us to understand you as to what we do. So in terms of the milestone, we have a typical 3-week turnaround, but that depends on what is it you have to do. If someone hasn't brought the books and records up to date for, say, 1 year, and they need to get an audit done, that could easily be, a 3 weeks window. If they've got many years, it could be a 3 months window. But all of that will come out through the assessment process and when we start to assign service providers. But at a budget, we're working with 105 hours on average, which is 3 weeks at 7 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, another, is there a period or month you would like to have contacted all applicants by in terms of the assessor calling them?
Okay, so the assessors is a separate group from the service providers. They could be duplicated because it takes basically the same skill sets. But right now we are separating assessors from service providers. So the assessors, we have a 5-day turnaround time for assessment. So what will happen is that there are 70 persons in our upper right now requiring services. There is a committee at the BBP that we call the Business Development Committee. And that committee has staff persons and board members and some external party for transparency and objectivity, etc. That group will assign these assessors to different applicants. And we're expecting, like, on average, a 5-day turnaround for the assessment process. We have actually got a form. We expect a 2-page report done in Word. And it has at the beginning the recommendation, then there is findings and conclusion. And we expect folks to use whatever technique they want. We recommend a SWOT analysis or a postel analysis to decide on what we do. And they will do the heavy lifting first. Once it comes back to this committee, we will then go through that assessment, make our own assessment as well, and then it will be forwarded to the board. The client, the applicants that we recommend will be forwarded to the board for final approval. And then what I've discussed with the service providers, we'll probably do reach a call. We have got 70 persons here. So we'll probably, let's assume we needed accountants to do auditing. We'll do a call to the accountants in the group. We're trying to come up with a pool of preferred vendors, as they call it in purchasing. We would have gone through, talked to you folks, we've done individual interviews with you guys. We would have signed individual memorandum of understanding with the association. And then we have a pool of accountants that are available. And we would just do a call to that pool. And folks can, bid on it, competitive or otherwise. And at the end of the process, we'll select the 1 or the 2 folks that will work with this particular clients. And right now, because we have got what is the term I'm looking for? We've got a built up in the upper. We've got 72 persons, I think, in the upper. What will happen in the first go in the month of June? Folks will be given a whole bunch of things to do at the same time, and we'll work together on what is the timeline for that turnaround. Because not like you're going to get one client to have the opportunity to work. We may find that we assign 10 or 20 clients to one person, and therefore, we'll work alongside a timeline and see, well, all of this will be delivered in a 3-month window. But we'll work with the clients, so everybody is comfortable what we're doing. And it may just be for the month of June. I suspect after that, we'll have applications on a timely basis, and then we can assign the work on a timely basis.
Okay. And question from Lorraine. If a vendor has already been working with an entrepreneur in the program, can either the vendor or the entrepreneur request a specific vendor to work with?
I would say yes, because the idea is that we want, and the president will talk a little more about that, we want to build the term they use in diversity and inclusivity now, which I don't really think is applicable to the Black communities, really for other communities who have been excluding us from what they're doing. But I like the term, it's called a safe space. And one of the things that I would be looking for from service providers is to make the applicants feel safe and comfortable as they discuss their businesses with them. Because don't be surprised, you'll find that some of these clients have been there for years doing what they do, and they've never filed a tax return. They've never done, get the books and records sorted out. They've never done some of the things you would believe is just normal for business. And what we don't want is someone to go there and let them feel that they're less than running a business because they haven't done these things in many years. So the answer would be yes. If someone is comfortable working with a specific service provider, great. We'll ensure that that match continue because we want to create and enhance that safe space.
A question from Craig. If my business requires specific services, but they are time sensitive, would it be possible to expedite the process, or would it be better to try to contact the service provider in the BBPA network, such as CAD Pro, preemptively?
It's all of the above, right? Because we're in the upper right now, you're going to find that if you're time sensitive and we do the assessment and we agree that you need the service, we may put you at the top of the pool just because we're in the upper. But you also have to understand that if you have to do these things quicker than we can afford to deliver them, then you may have to take the option of doing stuff on your own. Just be reminded though that if you do it outside of the BAIDS BBP program, you may be required to pay for the services on your own because we have to do it inside the program.
And a question from,
Sorry, I got muted there.
It's okay.
I just wanted to say we will try our utmost to accommodate folks' needs, right? And that is why the assessment program is not going to be done in isolation of the applicants. You will get phone calls and emails and texts to ensure that that assessment is done properly, because that is where it really starts. Okay. If it's not assessed properly, we may not be in a position to actually understand the needs and be able to satisfy those needs.
So next question from Kate. What is the process for matching service providers with program attendees? Will we be matched with a service provider that has experience in our specific industry?
I would say yes. That is why we've got 79 folks here now who are making themselves available as service providers. And that is why we'll talk to every single one that decide to be a part. It's not going to be a group stuff. It's going to be every single person we'll sit down with. We'll talk, we'll have our service agreement, and they will give us a buy and they'll explain to us what is it they're bringing to the table. So when we choose to call someone to work with a client, we would at least satisfy ourselves that that resources will be delivered professionally and there'll be success at the end. So the answer would be yes.
Okay. Next question from Lorraine. If individual vendors work in tandem with other vendors such that they provide 4 different services, can one entrepreneur request to work with that specific group?
And the answer again is yes. We want that safe space, we want that comfort zone. We will try our utmost to accommodate folks' needs. That is why we're here. It's not to shove anything down anyone's throat. As we do the assessment, and if somebody say, you know what, I used to work with Michael Pinnock as an accountant, and I used to work with Nadine Spencer as a marketer, and I need both accounting services and marketing services. Can I get those 2 folks to be assigned to my stuff? The answer is yes.
Let's see. Can a business be both? This is from Melissa. Can a business be both a service provider and a participant of the program for other services?
Oh, definitely. We already have that. You know, I'm an accountant, and I may want to digitize my practice. Of course, I'll come to you guys and say, can I get a graphic artist to assist me? So the answer is yes. You know, and that is why I'm trying my best not to put folks in silos, because it's very difficult to do that. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that at all. While you're helping someone, you could also be helped by someone else. And we're all in this nice family and this pool.
Excellent. So I'm going to ask one more question from Chris Beth for now, and then we're going to go back to the presentation, but we will come back and go through the Q&A questions. Okay. So the question from Chris Beth was, would the vendor list be public, and can we select whom we would like to work with?
Oh, well, I'm very happy that they asked that question, because the president will tell you a little later when we talk about branding. That is what we expect. And even though when we have these Zoom chat, we don't mandate folks to show their faces, but we encourage them, especially at a forum like this, because definitely you would be publicized. Your picture will be on the BBPA website with your bio, all that sort of stuff. So people will see you, know you, read your bio and know, okay, I'd love Linda to do my stuff because she's a graphic artist or she's the best in the world in marketing. So for those, I can say right now, if those, for whatever reason, doesn't like the pictures and the videos and that sort of stuff, then this is probably not the place they should be for service providers, because it will definitely be public on our website.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we're going to take a quick break and go back into the presentation. So, Mr. Michael, can you talk about the BAIDS Faceability program? So I'm just going to
yes. Thank you. I almost forget that. So I hope most of the folks who are here have heard about FACE, the Federation of Canadian Accountants, African Canadian Economics. The president will elaborate a little more on that.
It's because you're an accountant, you're always leaning to talking about your accounting, but I'll talk a little bit more about that.
Yes,
Go ahead,
right.
Michael.
She's on the board, etc. But this is the body that the Black community have bring together, and the federal government have accepted to manage what they call the loan fund. If you recall, back in September, the Prime Minister came to Ontario and made this announcement about 221 million being made available in the Black community. And it was in 3 different areas. One was the ecosystem funding, another was the loan fund, and the third one was the knowledge hub. So this body is brought together to administer, to adjudicate the loan fund. And what we have decided to do in the BBP, because this phase cannot fail. When folks apply for loans, they must be successful. And having got the loan, they must repay the loan. So we have decided in the BBP, we'll create a special program we call Faceability. Kind of playing on words here. But it's designed to prepare those folks who want to go get a loan from FACE to ensure that their businesses are ready. They can deal with the capacity of repaying the loan. They have the character for getting the loan. They have the equity in place. The credit is good. Books and records are up to date. We have a training program that will take them through to ensure that when they go to FACE, we may even accompany them to FACE as technical experts to explain the numbers and that sort of stuff, to ensure that they are successful in those applications. And we will continue to work with them. Again, the president will talk about a program we're going to start next Thursday, where all the applicants and the program providers will come together for 1 hour and talk about all the different things they're doing in the program. But the idea of BAIDS Faceability Program is to ensure that once you apply for a loan through BAIDS, your possibility, the probability of success is in the 99.9 percentile. And if you fail the first time, you will not fail on the second go. And equally important, and I can't stress this anymore with our Black community, the loans have to be repaid. Because if the loans are not repaid, everybody fails. So we'll ensure that we prepare the businesses, that the businesses have the capacity to repay the loan. That's a feasibility, I think. I'll take any questions again on this one, because this is a brand new concept. We haven't even started yet, but we have got the broad brush and the concept and the structures in place to do it.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. Well, we will hop really quickly. So before she comes on and we see all your questions, we're going to loop back as soon as we finish and get close to that segment in just a minute. So before she speaks, I just want to tell you a little bit more about our president, BBPA president, before she comes on. So Miss Nadine Spencer is the CEO of Brand EQ Group, Inc., a global marketing and communications agency specializing in marketing, communications, and public relations. Ms. Spencer has earned a reputation as an experienced professional who accelerates strategic growth and brand visibility for clients. Through her coined People Matter concept, she has expanded market growth and increased revenues for various multinational enterprises by amplifying their messages to a wider audience. So I would like to bring up Ms. Nadine Spencer.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's really, really great to be here. And Crystal, thank you for that introduction. You know, in the world that I live in the marketing communications, PR space, it's an important one. And, you know, even where we are right now at the BBPA, the results that we're having comes about because of marketing communications. When we had the FACE launch last Monday, someone in the chat asked, how did BBPA get to where we are now? And we're a 39-year-old organization, we'll be 40 next year. And in businesses, which you all know, it's cyclical, it's up and down, cycles are up and down. However, if we commit to our marketing, we will always have growth in our business. And I know sometimes it's challenging to do because as you go through your business cycle and there isn't resources, marketing sort of is the first thing that you cut, but it's not. You know, Bill Gates said, if I had one last dollar to spend, I'd spend it on PR. And the reason for that is because if you're doing something great and nobody knows about it, you know, what really happens? How do you build? How do you build your audience? How do you get the resources you need? You know, the whole adage, if a tree falls in the forest and no one is there, does it make a sound? It doesn't. And so the strategies that we used when I became president of the BBPA with the board of directors is to really engage in marketing activities that would drive the organization. And it is the same thing we have to do now as we're working with participants in this program. You yourself as businesses, Black-owned businesses, have to show your work, your services. And how do you do that? It's through your own, you know, marketing and exposure. With BAIDS, as the service providers, there's the brand of the organization that we are hoping, that we want to keep recognizing and keep building on. And you eventually become sort of a proxy representation partner of the BBPA by being service providers in this program. And Crystal, can you help me just link to the website? So I've got two computers going, everyone, just so I can see the audience, I can see you all, and then I can also work with my presentation. And so I would like to, I'm just looking at you all now on one computer. And if you can tell me how many of you have been to the BBPA's website to look at the BAIDS program, just by show of hands. How many of you? Show your hands. How many have you? Fantastic. Now I would imagine that I would see everybody. So that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. I see you all, Michelle. I see you, Melissa, Kara, Homa, Nettie, all of you. So here's the other question. how many, and you know, this is a safe place, as Michael said at the beginning, how many of you have not gone on the BBPA site? So I have all the hands of who has gone on. If you have not gone onto the BBPA site, put your hand up. So Alicia, you haven't gone on yet, or you were there from before? Okay, so I don't see any hands that's not gone up, so that's great. It's important that you keep up with the website pages immediately, like all the time, right away. And can I have the next slide, please? And so when you're on the website for BAIDS, you'll see that we've got videos, we've got the information. Yes, and if you scroll down, thank you so much, Victoria. You know, right down to the bottom, you right down to the services that we'll be offering our participants, right down to, are you a BBPA member, and right down to registering. So you want to make sure that you go to the BBPA's page and you look at all the information on the website. Next question. So Chris, your hand is up. You can put your hand down, and same for Ryan Vincent, you can put your hand down, because this is a very important question next. How many of you are following the BBPA on Instagram? How many of you are following the Instagram page? I see about maybe eight out of 79. All right, the next. Hands down, thank you. How many of you are following the BBP on Twitter? Two hands. We have to give him a prize. So we have to make notes. So Michael, I know you're the treasurer and I still didn't have this approved. Do I have your permission? I think I can spend $50. Can't I, Michael?
Certainly can, Madam President.
Thank you. So we
that
have
$50 will leverage 500,000. So
absolutely, absolutely. And we'll talk about that in our marketing piece. And Richard Rotman, thank you so much. So for all the people who are following us on Twitter, Victoria, can you make a note? We've got Frederica Black, we've got Richard Rotman, we've got Tim Frey. How many of you are on Twitter? You're going to be getting a big prize, a $10 Starbucks gift card. Okay. Your next coffee is on the BBPA. See, Michael, I'm fiscally responsible. I have $50, but I'm just spending 10 per person. So we've got those 4 individuals. So part of the work that we do and that we will do, and part of you as business owners, you have to walk the talk like the rest of us. Here's the next question. How many of you have websites? How many of you have active websites that you've updated at least in the last 6 months? How many of you out of the 77? Lots of hands, which is great. Oh, fantastic. Lots of hands. Earl, what about you? No website for you, Earl? We have to talk. We have to talk. So I see a lot of hands. Susan, that's great. Chris, that's great. Ray Williams, awesome. Garcia, fantastic.
There's a BIBS applicant right away to get the website done.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And here's Kara saying, all my clients, please put your hand up, right? But and Maple's hands up, Kate's hands up, Linda's hand is up, Tayo's hand is up, Top Scholars, Hungry Eyes Media, fantastic. But here's the thing, I don't have 77 hands up. If you're a provider with the BAIDS service program, you have to have a website. One of the things we want to do at the BBPA is set the standard. We have to walk the talk, we have to set the standard. In law, they say res ispa loquitur. It means the thing speaks for itself. When we're in business, especially as Black people in business, there are best practices that we have to follow, we have to adhere to. And especially as we're providing services to the Black community, we're setting a standard, and that standard has to start with us. That standard has to start with us unequivocally. So we have a list of criteria as service providers that you must have, because when someone comes to you, they should be able to find your website. They should be able to find your social media pages. They should be able to do that. And so that's going to be a part of the work that we do. And as Michael just said, you don't have a website and I heard another question being asked, if you can receive service and also provide service within the BAIDS structure. The treasurer has said yes, the committee has said yes. So I think I saw an email from someone that says they want to be a provider and they'll need help with their website. There'll be a list of vetted vendors, preferred vendors within the BAIDS program, which is who you are, and we'll be able to tap into those resources. Remember, one of the things we have to do as Black business professional people is to look professional, be on brand, and walk the talk. That is a part of business growth that we really overlook that. We very much overlook that. Our treasurer will say, nobody calls a treasurer. They do everything else before they call the treasurer. But I've seen many business plans, and I've been talking to the banks. And as you know, I sit on the board of the Federation of African Canadian Economics, which is FACE. That's the body that's set up to adjudicate and the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Program. And you wouldn't believe the amount of entrepreneurs that they don't have a financial statement, but the other thing is that they don't have a marketing plan. So you make the best jam, you make the best cookie, you provide the best service. Etsy, I know you do a program for women, women are worthy. And if you do all these things and you don't have a medium for people to see, how will they find you? How will they find you? So that's one of the things we have to look at. And as you are going to be service providers within this process, you definitely have to have those foundation pieces of business, tools and resources that is the standard. And those are just the basic standard. So if we move to the next slide, please. The next slide, it's slide 11. Slide 11 is our next. Thanks, Victoria. Oh, you know what, Victoria, your presentation isn't updated. Can you refresh? Or maybe I'll share my screen. If you give me sharing privileges, I'll share mine.
Okay.
Thank you. In the world of marketing communications, whenever we work on an initiative, and even when we conceptualize this program, do we know how this program started, BAIDS? The BBPA did a survey back in May of last year when COVID started. We compared Black-owned businesses with mainstream businesses, and we recognized a huge gap. One of the challenges were that Black businesses were not able to apply for the various stimuluses because we weren't ready. They didn't have a business account. They didn't have, the taxes weren't filed. And then, our treasurer, we had these conversations, and the treasurer got up one morning and sent, what we imagined was the program. And you know what the name was? When he said, this is how different minds work. When an accountant pulls up something versus a marketer or some other area, it's quite different. So when Michael was so excited and he sent the outline of the program, the original name was BAIDS. He goes, Nadine, we came up with a program and the acronym for it is BAIDS. Isn't that great? And I said, Michael, the program's wonderful. Everything is good, but BAIDS will not be the name. We will have to take it to marketing and then come up with something that more finesse that works. So hence, that's how we came up with BAIDS. But we came up with BAIDS because we thought about what each and every Black entrepreneur is going to need. When we looked at that survey and we saw the gap for our people in order to build, grow, sustain their business, we recognize the gap based on thinking about each and every individual. We have it in mind who the individuals are. So when we come up with strategies, we think about who the audience is. And I'm just going to share my screen with you now. So we think about who we serve and who you will serve as part of this BBPA program are Black entrepreneurs, people that look like us. People, this is who we serve. In the form, as long as they identify as Black, this is who we serve. So as you're thinking about your service to your constituents and the people you serve, we have to think about how do we create your presentation? How do you service them? These are all the lists so far of people into the BAIDS portal. These are people that you'll be serving. These are people that will be coming to you for service for their business, to take their business to the next level. And so what is the expectation from you, the service providers?
Incidentally, my president, I just learned that we've got 8 to 9 businesses in the upper right now as we speak.
Fantastic, fantastic, and growing, Thank you, Michael. Number one, the expectations is that each of you must have a website, and we will have it part of the agreement. You heard the treasurer talked about the service agreement. Part of the service agreement will have a list of requirements that you will also have as a service providing business. Because for you, the great value add to this is you'll be compensated. So this is business for you. Not only is it business, But part of our plan to promote and uplift the service providers is that you'll be integrated into our marketing. And what does that mean? That your brand has to be strong, because the BBP has invested in their marketing. This is why we are where we are. And so you need to do the same. So you must have a website. We will not take any person who does not have a website, because the standard is you have to have skin in the game. Every business should have skin in the game. And at this level where you are, you must have those basic fundamentals. And if you don't have them, within the BAIDS program, you'll be able to work with another service provider to get those services. So 2 of our service providers, we had Ryan Knight from Afro-Caribbean Business Network, and we went to his website, and he has a website. Not only does he have a website, his website is updated. It's been updated in the last 3 months for sure. And he's providing small business grant writing services within the BAIDS program. We went to his website, and for sure, there it is. He does it. The validity is right there. So as business owners, what we have to do, imagine, is that when someone is coming to see the work that we do, they should be able to come online and say, hey, yes, there's Ryan, there's ACBN. They do provide that particular service. They have a website, it's updated. Then we had Garcia Hansen Francis, who's Catch Pro Payroll. Again, she has a website. We went to her website. There she is. There she is. There's her service. And not only is there's her service, she's a winner. So she's not only an experienced professional, but she's recognized by the Black community for her work and her service. So, she's validated right there. So it's important that we do have these resources, and that you're displaying that you're a viable business that's providing these services within these platforms. We have funders. We have RBC, Wabanisa Insurance, HSBC, that has provided funding to this program. Some of the things that our funders look for, sometimes they'll say, can I speak to Orion? Can he be part of our platform? Can Garcia be part of our platform? Can Alinda be part of our platform? Can Marlon be part of our platform? And when we send you to these partners, we want to make sure that, as Black organizations, you're ready. You're your brand is well set, your landscape of your brand is well set, and you are ready to do business. You're showing up ready to go. And that's one of the requirements that we're going to have for the participants. When we talk about showing up professional, we all know that Zoom is the environment now. Zoom is the environment. And what does that mean? What do you look like when you show up on Zoom? So if I did a screenshot, and I won't call anybody out, one of the things I talk about in our marketing sessions is we talk about the frame up. So I'm gonna look over here so you'll see my side view as I look to my other computer. So I won't call out who's not framed up, but I'm gonna call out who is framed up. Because one of the things when you participate at a BBPA's program, at any of our program, we want to make sure that you're representing not just yourself as Black professionals and Black business people, but the BBPA as well. You're representing an organization. If you're to show up at any of our partners, you have to be framed up well. So if I look at Victoria, she's framed up well. Michael's framed up well. Marlon, kudos to you. You're framed up really well. Linda, you're framed up really well. Who else can I point out as great framer-uppers? Errol, you're framed up really well. Your lighting is good. Your backdrop is great. I will not call you out if you're not framed up. So here's what's interesting. Claria, are you there? Can you wave at me? Hey, you're framed up well, but you're probably on your phone, on your iPhone or some phone device. Yes, you're not on your computer, correct? Do you know how I know she's not on her computer? Because her landscape isn't filling the screen. What you want to do, so Clara, your background's great, you're framed up well. The only thing I'd advise you to do is turn your phone into a landscape as opposed to horizontal. Because what you want to do is take up space. Oprah talks about all the time that in all the people that she meets in the world, when she's interviewing, that she says, sometimes we're afraid to take up space. And how you take up space is you're not in the horizontal, you're in the landscape. You see how my background is pretty broad. And then if you're not there, I don't know if you noticed before when Michael was on, I was doing something, but I had a background that looked exactly like my environment. So you could hardly notice. But those are some of the things we'll talk about if Daniel and I do the marketing session. Those are our tips that we'll share in that side. But when you're showing up, especially as a BBP service provider, you're probably gonna have a backdrop like, who's got our background? Nobody. Michael, can you just put your BBP background on just so I can show an example of that? We have a branded background, and branded backgrounds are great. However, sometimes because in the Zoom environment, people are always used to seeing branded backgrounds. So Michael now has that branded background. So we'll have that as a sample, and that will be in your resource toolkit. You'll have a bunch of things in your resource toolkit as service providers. That will be one of them. That's an option. The reason why I like the background that I have now, and I look at others, for example, Lulu, I think your background is great. I did call out Marlon, you've got a great background. You've got a virtual background, but it's also very good. Daniel has a live background, which is also good. But again, Clara, very good on changing the rotation of your phone. That's great. Clara's background is great. Ray Williams's background is great. So you want to, what's interesting about the background, it gives a little bit of your personality in that background, but you have to think about it very carefully, how you frame up within the context of being online. So this is what a Zoom, this was from the launch we had on Monday. And you can see everyone here is framed up pretty well. Rustam's in his office, Tiffany, everyone here is framed up well. This is the expectation, you know, that we have for our service providers as you're doing those weekly sessions, is that, you know, you are showing a professional with your presentation, with your corporate image and all of that, because you are also not just representing your company, you're representing, you know, our partners who are here, and you're representing the BBPA. So these are examples here of, you know, what these professional images look like. And these are some of our service providers as well. Part of it, you'll be sending a bio, you'll be sending a photo, and we want a professional photo. Sometimes you're dressed really well and you're at a wedding and you cut the person out and that's your photo. That's not the photo, the on-brand photo that you're going to be sending. You're going to send a professional photo because, again, res ispa loquitur, the thing speaks for itself. When you're a professional in the industry, you must invest in yourself, because the first person you have to invest in is you, because before anybody buys what you're selling, you have to show that you've invested in yourself first as a business. So I talked about and then the presentation. We'll also have a template for you in terms of if you are showing a presentation in your workshop, how do you add that, but also your presentation, your whole flow, all of that should be on brand. Next, we're going to have part of the promotion and the work that we do. You'll be getting a resource kit that has some fundamentals that you'll be using. However, the expectation is for you to share that you're a BAIDS participant on social media. Ryan will be sharing on his social media, hey, I'm very proud to be a grant writer with the BAIDS program. You know, so it's important that all of you, we had the hands up, and I think we only had, what, 4 people, Victoria, that were getting the $10 Starbucks coupon because they were on Twitter. So for example, Frederica Black, she does, she'll be doing events as a service or provider, or she'll be maybe doing a workshop on events. So any of the service providers, they'll be sharing this on their social media platforms. Put your hand up here. Who are the service providers? I want to pick on somebody. Who's a service provider here? Put your hand up. We have Lorraine. So Lorraine, are you able to put your camera on or no? Awesome. Thanks, Lorraine. How are you? So Lorraine, you've got your social media ready to go, right? You've got social media. You're on social media. Great. Ray, your service provider. You'll be providing services to the through the BAIDS service. Can you, I'm just gonna, if you can unmute Ray and just share with us, I'm gonna walk you through something, okay? Ray, can you tell me a little bit, just in 30 seconds to a minute, what service you'll be providing through the BAIDS program?
Well, it depends on what you want. I could provide services on IT, any computer software area. That's my specialty.
Fantastic. So you'll be providing IT or computer software, which is a specialty which is very much needed. And so what the expectation would be, Ray, is that you would be saying on your social media platform, hey, I will be providing this service. Tomorrow is my day. For tomorrow, I'll be doing a workshop with the BBPA's BAIDS program, and you'll be sharing that on your social media platform. You know, it's important that this level of engagement happens, because what happens as we report in for impact and we show the work that we do, our social media becomes a part of that digital footprint, and we use that data to track, you know, what's happening around the BAIDS. So the hashtag BAIDS program, you'll be using all of that in your various social media. Thank you, Ray. And then if I can go back to, it was Lorraine. Lorraine, what services do you, imagine that you'd be providing to the BAIDS program?
Oh, I will most definitely be providing excellence in accounting in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles and the auxiliary services that go with that, including accounting setup. And I also work with providers who provide marketing, investment, and I'm forgetting one, services. Marketing.
Great. Thank you so much, Lorraine. So
You're
again,
welcome.
and yes, and you do have a website and you are on social media. Fantastic.
I am.
Great. So you'll be posting, and we'll create the graphic for you, and you'll be posting, you'll be sharing and tagging. Even if you don't want to post, the BBP will have it, you'll share and tag. But that's going to be part of the requirement. When I worked in big production many years ago with big celebrities like, Colin Cowie, who does work for Oprah, part of the contract agreement was that they had to they had to sort of weigh into the brand many times. And, when big artists are negotiating contracts, they say, you have to say, who are the big artists now? You have to say Britney Spears 20 times. So those are some of the requirements that we're going to have, because it drives the work. It spreads the word on the important work that we're doing. And it shows that you are a part of the story as well. You're part of the work. And so next, Daniel is going to share a little bit about, how social media can be integrated, how you can integrate the work that you're doing with social media to talk about BAIDS and what that means. Danielle?
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Spencer. I'm with Brand EQ. And so discussing more about social media and how you can all, utilize it to advance our efforts with BAIDS is essentially about creating an efficient and an effective network. When the BBPA shares things on its own platforms, that's one thing. But if we're able to integrate all of you and all of your platforms, whether you have 5 followers or 5,000, it all helps. You all have a platform, you all have a voice. And so being able to share the content through your platforms, every little bit helps. So what we'll be doing is we'll be creating media sharing kits where it's going to include the graphics, it's going to include the captions that you can use in the hashtags. So you really don't have to come up with anything on your own. You're more than welcome to add in your own little spice, your own little flavor. You know how to speak to your platform the best. And so we do provide a template, but take it upon yourself if you'd like to create your own content, and we absolutely encourage that. As Nadine had mentioned earlier, this is definitely about representation by proxy, and so you're all here because you add something really amazing to this program, and the individuals who we're working with, their visions absolutely align with the BBPA's, and so being able to share through your platforms would be extremely helpful. Some of the content that we'll be including for you is ones for Instagram and Facebook stories, for your Instagram posts. Sorry, my little daughter, she's excited for BAIDS. We all are. That's why we're all here. So we'll also have content for your feed to go up. We'll have videos, we'll have carousels. We will include content for your LinkedIn's, and then again, we'll have all of the content for you. So it's just mostly to use as a guide, but otherwise to just make it easy and convenient for you, because we know that you're all business owners, you're all incredibly busy, and so your participation in the program is greatly appreciated. And to make it a lot easier, we'll have the content all ready for you to go on all major platforms. Yeah, so I don't really have too much to add into that. Nadine, do you have anything else that you want to add in on that?
No, that's it. So again, as Danielle mentioned, it's a shareable kit. We're making it very, very easy for you to follow, and yeah. And all you have to do is tag and share. Tag, share, and like. That's all you have to do, essentially.
Yes, and the engagement is also incredibly important. That's what helps, especially with the algorithm. And so I'm sure a lot of you will notice that, if you post something on your feed, it could have, let's say 20 likes. If you post something on your story, it could have 200 to 300 views. And so we definitely encourage posting on your story as the number one source of sharing, and then just tagging the BBPA, tagging our partners, tagging the businesses and the business owners that they can repost on their pages. And then also, if you see anything BAIDS related come up, like it, save it, share it, comment, copy link, all of those things, they help with the algorithm, they help with the sharing and getting it onto the Discover page on Instagram. They help share it through Facebook. If you're, sharing anything on TikTok, it's the exact same thing, where that engagement is what helps it get seen on many more platforms. And so we definitely ask that you just continue to really just like support the content that goes up, because it does a lot more than you may think it does.
Great, thank you very much, Danielle. Thank you. So we'll move on now to the final slide before we get to any questions, which is on Thursdays. On Thursday, starting June 3rd, we have what's called the BAIDS Business Service Providers Workshop. This is your skin in the game, and this is your give. Over the year, you may commit to 2 sessions at minimum to meet our participants, those people that I showed you before and who we serve, that they may come on and have questions. So for example, if Garcia was talking about her payroll services, she would lead that workshop for an hour. She would talk about what CAGPRO does, how she will be working with participants one-on-one when she's assigned participants, and so forth. Ray Williams will be doing the same thing. His work is very much intricate in terms of IT and computer and technology, so he would be talking about that. So each service provider, essentially, you'll be doing a 1-hour workshop, pretty much like this each Thursday. It'll be rotated, so with 72 participants already as service providers. We'll spread that out over the year. So for 1 hour each Thursday, you will come on and just meet with your audience, who are the participants. They'll have a lot of questions. Maybe it's accounting. They'll have a lot of questions, and it's essentially a hands-on workshop. You'll be talking about the work that you do, how you will be working with your participants one-on-one, the expectations, and you might have many people with different questions, but essentially you'll just be talking about your area of expertise within the program. So thank you very much. That is it in terms of the expectations, the branding, the marketing of what we expect from you, the participants, and also the testimonial. BBPA will curate a series of content of videos that we'll reach out to you and you'll sort of talk about, your participation in the program and so forth, and we'll use that as part of the marketing. As we mentioned earlier, if you're not able to have your bio online and so forth, do let us know, but that is part of the expectation, because again, we have to show, it's important that we show who we're working with, who the partnerships are, and so forth. So thank you very much for your time, and we'll now take questions. Michael, did I miss out on anything?
No, I just want to reiterate before we start to the question that one of the stuff that I in particular will be looking for is the safe space concept, where, as an accountant right now, and especially during the pandemic, lots of the Black clients couldn't apply for the various stimulus packages that we have. And when they come to me, they're not looking for me to bring them down because they didn't file a return in 5 years. They're looking for me to say, how can I bring it up to date and what they can do going forward. So I just want to let that resonate with folks that working in a Black space, be expected to meet the unexpected and treat it with empathy and not disdain, because people are expected to work in a safe space and they want to trust the parties that they're working with. That is just my 2 cents I'd like to say there.
Excellent. Thank you. So like we said, we're going to go back through your questions that you had earlier. So I can bring back up Mr. Michael and spotlight Ms. Nadine as we go through these questions. Okay. So I'm going to go back up. It was a question from Lorraine where we stopped before. Does the BBPA have any needs? Do you need people to help with assessments or such?
Yeah, the assessors will be paid, and if you want to be an assessor, like you want to be a service provider, you're going to make the link with the BBPA. And I think up to a couple of evenings ago, we're working on that portal to get folks to apply to be, service providers or assessors. But in the interim, you can always send information to, the treasurer at BBP or the president at BBP, or I think the one we call office. There are a couple of emails for the time being, my president, and then we'd work it from there. Because remember, at the end of today, we're expecting to get to all 78 or 80 persons that was here individually, so we can have that individual discussion, that signing of the memorandum of understanding, getting your picture and your bio so we can do the posting, etc., etc. But yes, you can just apply to be the member. We have an assessment and we go from there.
Okay. Question from Ryan. Does the service provide the invoice to the client and the client submit the invoice to BAIDS, or does the service provider invoice BAIDS directly?
The BBP directly. Okay. In fact, the applicant don't need to know what it's costing to do the work. Without sounding rude, it won't be part of their business, so to speak. Their business would be to ensure that the services are delivered efficiently, effectively, and at the end of the day, there is success. The program, the service providers and the assessors will work directly with BBP, providing their invoices, and they will be satisfied through the BBP.
Okay. How many clients will a service provider be working with per month? Is there a limit, or is that up to the service provider to decide based on their own capacity?
It's a capacity and availability. Right now, as I say, we have in the upper, as I speak, 89. I just got the latest update because one of the staff members who is directly in that area just sent me the text that as we speak, Michael, we've got 89. So right now it's going to be, as I say, it's a bottleneck, so to speak. So a lot of folks would have multiple clients working with right now just to get this out the upper. But going forward, I think it would be availability, that is clients who have applied for assistance, and capacity of service providers to deliver. So it could be one or multiple, given the particular situation.
Okay. Do you have a grading feedback process for vendors?
A grading feedback. I laugh because it's good when we have these sessions, because these points come up, or we'll make a note of it. Now, what we're thinking about is that we'll have a discussion at the BBP level with the experts that we have in our own works, and together as professionals, we will decide. For example, I'm an accountant, and as I think Lorraine mentioned, she'll be doing books and records. She may or may not be a CPA. And so there's different stuff she can get. If she's not a CPA that can do an audit, then she would not get an audit to do. Or even if she's a CPA, but she doesn't have a license to do public accounting, she wouldn't get the audit, but she'd probably get the bookkeeping and that sort of stuff to do. So we'll have to do it on a one-on-one. But once we go through this first cycle, we will then have built that experience to determine how we proceed. Right now, people are coming to the table with their credentials and their experience, and they'll be assessed on that basis. Okay. So, you want to come and tell us what you've done before. What are your success stories in your field of endeavor? That will help us to say, okay, if you have been in there like me, I've been in accounting for more than the age of many people sitting here. I've been in the business for more than 40 years. I've seen a lot of stuff, but it doesn't mean I have 40 years experience. I could just have 1 year experience 40 times. So I have to go and tell them the different companies I work with, the position I held, the success stories I have, etc. And that will help to build my, what is the marketing word I'm looking for, my president?
What's up, Mike?
I'm looking for the marketing word to build my value proposition.
Yes, your unique value proposition, Mike.
Unique value proposition. So folks will come and pitch their unique value proposition. And that will help us as well as we do the matching. Remember, there was a question earlier about matching folks with industries and that sort of stuff. This is how the value proposition will help us. You're in accounting, but you focus on nonprofits, or you focus on private sector, you focus on government. These things will help us to match with the client. So, we'll see it goes. Right now, there's no grading that we have in mind, but we'll see it goes as we speak with the individual persons here, and we sign memorandum of understanding with each. We'll build up that toolkit that will help us to do the assessment.
Next question from Elizabeth. Are there grant opportunities available through the BBPA or BAIDS program?
Michael, I'd like you to take that one.
Sorry, I just got distracted because I'm getting stuff on my phone in relation to what's happening now. And I just want to highlight that one of our great partners in what we're doing right now, Chris Alexander, through his Zeus platform, just remind me that tons of experiences there in that system, and that will assist us in helping to review of some of the service providers, and therefore we'll be able to grade them. So the answer is yes. I may not have it, but we have got partners who have got it, and we'll utilize those partners to assist us with assessing and reviewing the service providers.
Yeah,
but
and at this point,
listen, don't fear. This program is designed for the Black community. You're not going to be judged, in fact, negatively just because. In fact, come to the program and we'll meet you wherever you're at. President said earlier, everyone should have a website. If you don't have a website, it don't mean you shouldn't apply. You should apply, and we will ensure that within a week or two, you do have a website. So don't let the fact that you don't have a website now mean you shouldn't apply, because we want you to come both as a service provider and also as an applicant for assistance, which is to create that website for you. And it's a cross-pollination we're working with. You know, as I say, you use two hands to hug, but it don't have to be mine. I can take one of your hand and one of somebody's hand, and it's still a hug. Let me take the question you asked first. I was distracted. I didn't get that. You had asked a question there, and the president said I should take it.
Oh, it was about the grant. But before we get to the grant question, Michael, it's an important one. We'll get to it. I do want to recognize one of our service providers here who has been working with us. Remember, this is really about excellence in the Black community, excellence in our business. As an entrepreneur myself, my business really went on a trajectory up when I conquered my fear. My biggest fear in my business was to talk about my financial statement. That was one of my biggest fear. I'll never forget going to the bank with my receivables and my list, and I was very down. And he said, "You're doing great. You've got blue chip companies on your receivables list. So don't be despaired." So that fear is one of the hardest things that we have to conquer when we talk about to Black entrepreneurs across the country. That's one of the biggest fears. But put all that aside, and this is the safe space. When you meet with your assessors and that you go through the program, it really is, it's confidential. It's the treasurer has set all that up. There's a process where when you apply, all of that goes in. So it's a very safe space. So if you don't have a website, you don't have all those tools, you need to have them as part of the service provider, but we will help you get through it. But I would, before we get to the grant question, Michael, I'd like to ask Chris Alexander, who's one of our the service providers, and who also really helped to work with us to ensure a process to bring this forward. Dynamic individual, excellence in the Black business community, and somebody who sets a standard. Those are the partnerships we look for, is people who set a standard within the industries they work with. So I'd like to introduce our partner, Chris Alexander. Chris?
Thanks, Nadine, and hi everyone. Great program, and Michael did an amazing job, and Nadine yourself, to put this program together. I must say that it's an excellent program. It has a lot of potential for people within the community to make sure that we can get a leg up, and it's catered to make sure that we move forward in a safe environment. So I'm happy to be part of this, and thanks for looking forward to working with everyone here.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Chris.
And
so
Chris
Michael, to the grant question.
Yeah, Chris is very humbling because he did much, much more than the few little words he mumbled there, But it demonstrates, that we do have the capacity in the community to be, ecocentric, if there's such a word. We need to work with other parties, but we first should look within, because the skill sets is sometimes there. You just need to hone it. And one thing I can remember Chris convinced me on was, you don't need to buy another website or design another website. we have got Zeus that can do a lot of stuff. And we banter a little and then we agree, let's make a pathway. So we don't have to have one for ourselves, but we can partnership with one that exists and work. But we just need a pathway. So when folks go there, they say it's BBP and it's great, but it's deeper than BBP. It's BBP and all our partners behind the scene. And it took months, I don't know, about 3 or so months to get it sorted out. So thanks, Chris. In terms of the granting program, it is not something we're looking at right now. The only granting program we have, and generally speaking, we do have a granting program, but the major one we have is for students going to universities and colleges. We run that through our national scholarship program. In terms of businesses, we have decided that the approach we want to take is rather than to give you $50,000 to go look at an accountant and a marketer and whatever, and probably try to do this and do that and so on. We're going to place that in the hands of the resource providers and let them take you through that process. And then once you become profitable, then you can use the profits to do whatever you want. But so we're not focusing on through BAIDS to have a granting program, but we are open. We are open to all sort of stuff. Just to remind folks that are here that 6 weeks ago, we went into Little Jamaica and did what we call a BIRCH program, Black Business Emergency Relief Fund, where we actually gave $185,000 in grants to the businesses. Well, some of the business, because the grant funding disappeared in minutes after we opened it. But we do give grants, and that was one of them that we did back then. But what we're trying to do now is to, even on a larger perspective, even what we say to the government is planning to come to the table with a sizable amount of money to help us deliver this program. But that is only for 4 years. What is it you do after 4 years? And what we have found with grants, if they're not managed properly and spent properly, after 4 years, you're back to square one. So that is why we have got the sustainability program, that we want to use that money to drive the growth, scale up of the business so they can become profitable. And then they, in turn, will become benefactors to the program. And that's how we keep the money rolling. So we invest $50,000 in the program, and down the road, you give us $100,000 because you're now making millions of dollars in profits. So we really haven't got a granting program for, but we will take issues on a one-on-one basis. If you've got a challenge or you want to have a discussion with the BBP board, we open to those one-on-ones, and anything is possible.
Next question about the loans. Is there a cap or limit for the loan that you can get?
That's my president. I default to her on that one. That's from FACE.
Yes, it's from FACE. Right now, the number is 250,000. That the FACE loans will go up to at this time.
Okay, and that was a question from our.
And just remember those. That's because we look at the market that the Black space is in, right? We realize that you go to one of the traditional banks, you want a 5,000 loan or a 10,000 loan or a 20,000 loan, and they'll tell you, oh, here's a line of credit or here's a credit card. But for somebody in a small business space, one of the, I don't want to call a name, it may prejudice it, but we know that there are people that $5,000 make a big difference to in our space, and that is why FACE is there. So 250 under the concept of FACE is a large loan because they're in the micro space, the 5,000, the 10,000, the 15, the 20,000, that kind of stuff. That's where they're at. So 250 is a huge loan for them.
And within the FACE, there's going to be a range within the FACE loan program as well, a range.
Next question, let's see. Dwayne, how do we follow up on requests? Once you fill out the form, how can you follow up on your status on your request?
Is that the applicant or the service providers? So let me answer both. Just let me answer both rather than go back to the email. For the service providers, there's an instant email that is sent out, compliments of Mr. Alexander's system. As soon as they apply, an email goes, oh, we have received your information has been processed. The reason why we haven't gotten back to a lot of folks is because we were ahead of the game. We are creating the infrastructure, we are testing it with pilots and so on and so forth. But come June, it's just, you're gonna see people getting back to you really quick as you apply. And somebody had asked a question earlier, if we need to reapply if you've applied already. If you had done it under the Google Doc, if when you did the application, it was done under a Google document face, you may want to reapply under the new portal that we have, because we have sort of abandoned Google. We transitioned some of the folks over, but to be safe, you want to reapply if you had done it back in December. In terms of the service providers, we have got the email links and all that sort of stuff, and we will get back to you guys because we have to talk to all 80 persons that was here. And we're going to try to do that within a week. Try to do that by that first week in June, because we have to get back to you guys. We have to set up one-on-one discussions. So we go through what we have to do. We can get the memorandum signed off. And just remember, as we're doing that, we may also be assigning you to clients, because everything is going to be happening in series right now, because we have 89 folks in the upper, and we need to get those out for the other 89 that's coming in. Right?
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Michael.
No, that is it. That's just what I want to see.
Okay. And there's a question, how do you qualify for a website update?
You apply, you're assessed, and your needs are satisfied if the assessment is positive, which I'm certain it will be.
Excellent.
So you go online and you apply. My name is Michael Pinnock. I'm the principal of my firm. My revenue is X amount a year, et cetera, et cetera. I would like to improve my website. I'd like to have one designed, et cetera, et cetera. An assessor will call you to go through the 52 questions you answer. Both of you come together. They agree that, yes, you deserve it, and we should support you in getting it. We get a brilliant web designer through Randy Q or some other marketer. They sit with you, and in 5 days, you get your website up and running, and we cut a check and pay the guys.
Excellent. Question from Kara. If we have professional certifications that are independent from or unrelated to our business, will there be a space in the database to indicate this, or make it available to other participants, for example, project manager, business analyst, etc.?
If, as you go on whatever platform we ask you to apply, and there is no space for what you want to put there, let us know. Mr. Alexander and his team can turn around it in a couple of hours to ensure that that field is there. We shall not leave anyone behind.
And a general question, do you require BBPA membership to be in place prior to filling out the BAIDS application?
That's almost a double-edged sword for us. The answer is, in the public benefit space, we can't force people to do anything. But we strongly encourage, we walk you through that very tightrope as to why it's useful to be a member, how it helped the BBP, how it helped the Black community, because we're a family. But it's not a prerequisite. But we do encourage you at some stage along the way to become a member. And you'll see too, you'll see that it's good to be a member. It's good to be a part of some stuff. We're gonna have a golf, we call it a tournament, but it's really just a COVID-19 relief to go out and get some sun. I think it's scheduled for June 12th, Lionhead Golf Club. And if you're a member, I'm certain you'll be able to just walk in. But if you're not a member, we may ask or tear off course or something like that. And apart from that, it's good to be in a fraternity, good to be a part of a community, because we're actually, historically community people. We have just been in the free market environment where we believe the individual is the most important stuff. So we encourage people, but it's not mandatory, but we do encourage people.
Yeah, plus in just the last minute, because we'll be wrapping up now, and in the wrap up, will be all the questions that was not answered in the chat. We're going to be having them on the website in a FAQ page. So your questions will be answered there. But in the spirit of what our treasurer just discussed about whether it's certainly not required, but I think it's, as a business person, it's important to have skin in the game. The BBPA's membership does have a lot of benefits. For example, when I mentioned, sometimes when our partners ask us for somebody to speak, those are privileges, extended privileges that members get. So there's a lot of benefits to the membership offerings, and you are receiving a service. Essentially, you're participating in a service that's going to be benefiting you. So how can you give back to your community? Having skin in the game as a business practice, it's an important thing. It's an investment that you make, and when you can give back to your community, it's an important thing to do. So I do hope, while it's not required, I do hope that you are all members of the BBP. Thank you.
Victoria?
Excellent. I'm here. I'm back.
Yeah, in the outro, can you play my music that we didn't get to finish at the start?
Okay, we will do that.
Yeah,
we will get that
yeah,
song.
So after the outro video goes, we'll play Michael's music.
Yes.
Okay. So we just want to thank everyone for coming. We just want to bring up the slide, just a reminder that we do, let's see right here, kickoff. So make sure.
So the last question for the service providers who are starting, who wants to be the first one? Whose hands up goes first? Who's the first provider that's going to come on next week? Who's the brave
Alexander?
Not okay, great. Ray Williams' hand is up, and Teo Simon's up.
Great, very good.
And Lorraine and Chris Beth. So you know what? I'm going to do a screenshot just very quickly. And actually, guys, before you play the video, Victoria, can I just do one last thing? Because I'm a consummate marketer. It's in my DNA. I just want to get a screenshot. So can we all? So I see the hands of the first people who are going to participate in the weekly sessions, which I'm going to take and then reach out to you all with your packages to start. So
are we going to touch each other like this?
So very much. Yeah, so we're going to touch each other, as Michael says. We're going to do the virtual handhold, but I want to do a photo for the records. This is our inaugural orientation session. So Chris Beth, because you're in frame, I'll need your camera on, and Garcia, because I've got a great frame shot here. And Danielle, I'll need your for you to be on camera so I can get this photo. Garcia, are you coming on?
Yes, 1 second.
So, as my last tip and trick for the day, as a marketer, I have a Zoom drawer, right? So the Zoom drawer, you can't see, but I'm opening my drawer. And in my Zoom drawer, I have a palette. I have red lipstick. Etty knows all about red lipstick. I have a t-shirt, a top, a blouse, because if ever you have to come on very quickly, I'm like, boom, ready. So that's what we have to do. These are little tricks to the trade. So we're ready. Garcia, I don't see you're on yet. Where's Garcia?
Yes,
okay,
yes,
perfect.
Garcia.
There you are, Garcia. Okay, so everyone look to camera so we can get this screenshot. Thank you so very much. And then I see 11 hands raised. So we have 11 weeks of people presenting already, Michael. We're
excellent.
Excellent. So this is for our annual report as well. So thank you so very much. So look to camera and smile. Everybody looks awesome. Thank you so very much, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, go ahead, Michael, with your virtual hug.
Yes.
Thanks, Garcia. I see you're outside, so thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Merci.
So where's my music? Oh, it's money stuff, eh?